So today, let's start today. Today we'll start with the load balancer. So let me. Okay. So where load balancer type? Yeah. So this is what we are talking about. So you know what is load balancer like. So load balancer job is to distribute the traffic among different servers. Correct. So essentially, this will be the complete diagram. Something like this. There are users who are trying to access a web application using HTTP or HTTPS. The request will directly hit the load balancer. So where the Route 53 comes into the picture, because users will be typing the website www.yahoo.com, mywebsite.com. That will have an A record set to a load balancer, right? User directly cannot go to load balancer, right? So how users are connecting to load balancer? Due to Route 53 routing policies and A record, whatever record we have set. That is why we have covered Route 53 first. So this part is now clear. So we will not use Route 53 now. We can directly start with application load balancer because you know how to map the URL with the load balancer. So this part is done. And then from here, from load balancers, now we will start. So we need a load balancer. That load balancer will have multiple different AZs and all the multiple subnets, different subnets in different availability zones. If we need, have multiple EC2 instances. So depending upon the requirement, it will check which server is healthy. It will route the traffic in a round robin fashion. If any server is not responding, load balancer will not route the traffic to unhealthy instance. It will route the traffic to only healthy instance, right? Then there is one more concept of auto scaling. So based on the, let's say, most a common option, let's say CPU utilization. If CPU utilization in servers, one of the server is, let's say, I have set a threshold of maybe 40 or 50, 60%, maybe average CPU utilization. So anytime the average CPU utilization goes more than 60%, create an extra EC2 instance. So we understand that if the load increases, our servers will also be increases. That part will be done by auto scaling. Again, if the CPU utilization load goes down, the extra instance will be terminated. In auto scaling, we will create the minimum instance, maximum instance, and desired instance. It cannot go from maybe 2 to 200. You have to define what is the maximum number of instances you want to create, because eventually you have to pay, you have to manage that also. So minimum, maximum, and desired number of EC2 instances you have to define. Okay. So this will be a typical diagram we will be creating. And we have this step also. So I will be providing you this link also, so that if you want to try it yourself, you can, yeah, of course, the video is recorded, or you can go through this link also. So let me put it in the chat. I can paste it also. So this will be the for application load balancer, and this will be with auto scaling. So we'll see if we can cover both today. Otherwise, we can cover load balancer today and maybe auto scaling later. So let's start. Okay, so that the idea is clear what we are trying to create. Okay. Yeah. Let's start. So first thing first, let's do with the load balancer. So load balancer is part of EC2. So you go to EC2. Under EC2 console, you will see the load balancer. So I'm in the EC2 page. Which region I'm going to create, you need to decide. I'm just same region, Oregon. I'm in the same region. Okay. Why I have one in here? You see, that is why. Unnecessary, this snapshot is here. It is costing my bill. I don't remember. And one more thing you remember, elastic IP, I don't need that. Action and disassociate. Is this being used somewhere? I don't think so. No, everything is gone, right? It's getting stopped instance. Oh, nothing. Nothing is there. Oh, this is associated to the NAT gateway. So first I need to remove the NAT gateway. So you see, when I try to delete this elastic IP, I'm getting an error that it is still associated. I don't have any EC2 instance. So it is somewhere else it is attached. I check, it is attached to my NAT gateway. You remember while creating the public private subnet, we created a NAT gateway. And that NAT gateway had an IP address. That is how it will connect to the internet. So in order to remove that, I first need to remove this delete NAT gateway. Now let's go to go back to the elastic IP. Just delete it. Once it is successfully deleted, then I should be able to remove this line. It is not deleted. Anyways, I'll do it. So yeah, so let's not waste the time. So this is how you will delete it. And once this NAT gateway is completely deleted, I will be able to delete this, because if I'm not using it, I will be charged, right? Because it is not, I'm not using it. I have allocated it, but I'm not using it. So sometimes it happens. Okay, come to EC2 dashboard. We are going to create a load balancer first. So first we'll create the load balancer, and later we will see how we can create an auto scaling or some auto scaling feature. So on the left hand side, under the load balancing, you see we have an load balancer. Click on load balancer. And here, just simply create load balancer. So currently we have 4 options, but this one is like previous generation, so it is not required. So I already told you, application load balancers are for your web traffic, which is HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Most common load balancer, most popular load balancer that works on layer 7. I told you, right? So that it will have the data packets to route the traffic based on the URL. This is a network load balancer which works on layer 4. It is high performance traffic for TCP, TLS, UDP traffic. So if you have that requirement, you can do it probably in some internal application or somewhere. But most of the times you will have only application load balancer. One more gateway they have provided, the gateway load balancer. That is when you need to have any third party virtual appliances that does not support these 2 load balancer, and you need to still use something, then you can use this. I have never used this one, but this is one of the options which is recently added. So basically when they talk about load balancer, at the moment, there are 3 types of load balancer: application, network load balancer, gateway load balancer. Mostly they might ask difference between application and network. Application load balancer is for HTTP, HTTPS traffic, that is for web application, works on layer 7. Network traffic is for TCP, TLS, UDP traffic, works on layer 4. It is very fast and it can handle millions of requests per second, okay, to maintain the ultra low latency, but it is not intelligent enough. Most of the time you have the web traffic using HTTP or HTTPS, right? So that is why application load balancers are more popular. We have a new load balancer, which is very recent. That is for some third-party virtual appliances. So if in your company you are using any third-party virtual appliances, you can use it. If you need more detail, you can click on this one because this is a very recent addition. In fact, I have never used it. So, but you can go through it. If you have any doubt, probably I can help you on that. But remember, at least for the exam perspective, there are 3 types of load balancer. What is the usage of these load balancer, and when to choose when? So if the question says they want ultra low latency, and they are not talking about HTTP or HTTP, they are not mentioning it. They are saying I need millions of requests per second with ultra low latency. You have to go with network load balancer. Okay. As soon as they mention HTTP, HTTPS, it doesn't matter. You have to go with application load balancer. Classic load balancer, it's a previous generation, so nobody will ask about it. And the new one is, as soon as you hear the term third-party virtual appliances and GE and EVE, this just remember this word. If you see anywhere questions and exam this keyword, you will have to go with gateway load balancer. Okay. This is for the exam perspective. Now let's create the application load balancer. Most probably this will be the application load balancer which we will be creating, because that makes sense. All the microservices and containers, everything uses HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Let's create.
Yeah.
This is the page, very simple. Give it a load balancer name. So we can give like what we can give them. My ALB. Okay, my ALB test, something like that. This is the load balancer name. Okay. Now, if you have a web traffic that is coming from the internet, you can have an internet facing load balancer. If you don't want to use public IPs, only private IPs internally, you can use internal load balancer. What will have? It will use private IPs only. But mostly web applications, you will use internet facing, right? Because you want to have the web traffic. IPv4 is the IP address or dual stack. That means both it will support IPv4 and IPv6. We'll go with IPv4. Now, simple network mapping. Which VPC you want to select? Maybe I just want to go with default VPC. Now mapping. So I'm creating a load balancer. Where's the diagram? I'm creating a load balancer. So how many subnets I'm trying to attach to my load balancer. So the more the subnet, more the robust my application will be, right? So if I have multiple subnets or whatever subnets or availability zones available, I have the facility. So even if complete one availability goes down, complete one subnet is down, still I have other subnets to cater my traffic, right? So when you create an application load balancer, it is always a good practice to create multiple subnets in different availability zones, right? If I choose only one availability zone in one subnet, and if something is not working, the complete traffic will be blocked. Nobody will be able to access my web app. So this is what we'll do. How many zones you want to select? I am in West 2, so there are 4. I can select all of them maybe. So it will send. As soon as you select, it will select the IP. I can select all of them. Later we will, when we'll create an EC2 instance, maybe if I create 4, I will create 4 EC2 instance, maybe in different subnets. One in 2A, one in 2B, one in 2C, one in 2D, so that even if one availability zone, one subnet goes down, rest of the applications will be working. Okay. Yeah. So this part is now security group, of course. So security group, which port, which application is allowed. So if you have created any, it will come here, or you can create a new group. So we already have one new test. I think this has the rules, already necessary rules, new underscore test while we created it. Port 80 SSH if you want to connect to instance, or HTTPS 443. So this is a security group. Now comes the part. Now traffic will come here. Traffic will come to load balancer. Now load balancer has to route the traffic to, I'm not talking about availability zone now. Now load balancer has to route the traffic to different subnets into EC2 instances, right? These are the servers where my application is running. So that means this thing is called backend or target group. So for this load balancer, target group means virtual machines, the group of EC2 instances where the traffic will be routed. What is the target of this load balancer? That is called target group. Okay. Yeah. So here I say what type of traffic I have. I don't have any SSL, so I can use either HTTP or HTTPS. I can create both also. So at the moment, I only have HTTP traffic. Where I should forward. So anybody who comes to my load balancer using Route 53, which servers I need to create? Currently, I think it's an old target group I have created. So I can create a new target group. So click here to create a new target group. So I'm clicked here. I came here. Now I need to create a target group where the traffic will be routed. So what are the options available? I can route the traffic to instances, or I can route the traffic to some IP addresses also. Any IP address which is available. Of course, it will be servers only. So instances I can support within the load balancer within a specified VPC. So I have a default VPC created. So if I have any instances, I can route the traffic from the load balancer to those instances, or I can load to IP addresses. It's the same thing, but here you are facilitating to multiple IP address network instance at the same time. Okay. So if you want to route the traffic to the IP addresses, and sometimes one virtual machine have multiple, at least, multiple IP addresses that can have, right? So one server can have 2 NIC cards, two network interface cards. If you want to route the traffic to both the IPs, that you can do. But here in the instance, you are routing the load balancer traffic to one EC2 instance. I mean, for particular EC2 instance. If there are hundreds EC2 instance, traffic will be routed to hundreds of EC2 instances only. Correct? Or if you have a Lambda function, if somebody hits your website, load balancer will hit the Lambda function to get their response back using HTTP or HTTPS protocol. Cool. So these 3 are the options.
But for Lambda function, AWS itself will take care of those auto scaling only, right?
Not because Lambda, because Lambda function is having the auto scaling, right? So you don't need it. Because Lambda can already manage millions of requests. So yeah, that is correct.
But load balancing we have to take care by creating these things.
Yeah. How? Yeah. Because Lambda doesn't have an URL, right? Same as load balancer.
Yeah.
So somewhere you have to map your DNS name to Lambda. So that is how the load balancer comes into the picture. Okay. Yeah, so we can give target group. Let's say what target group? Maybe test EG. Test EG. Okay. Test target group. That's it. HTTP protocol, that's fine. Okay, yep, this is my default security group I'm using, perfect. What is the protocol version? So this is like, what is the, web traffic HTTP method are you using? Target HTTP 1.1, it supports when, request is HTTP or HTTP2. If you have only HTTP2, you can use HTTP2. It will support the gRPC also. gRPC is the latest protocol, which is like very fast and efficient for the, the web traffic. So gRPC, I think you may heard about it.
Remote processor.
Something like exactly. It's a Golang or Google something.
It will be used in microservices.
Like REST. We have REST, very popular, but these days even gRPC is also very popular because of its efficiency and because it compresses the data, so it's pretty efficient compared to REST. But again, REST is more popular, but this is also gaining very popularity, gRPC. Okay, now comes the health check. So how will load balancer decide which one is healthy? Where should I route the traffic? This instance, this, where? It has to do a health check. So by default, a health check is provided. That is, it is going to use the route path to ping the route. So by default, it will ping the route of every server. So just leave it /. So it is going to the route of every server. It will do a ping. So if it gets the response back of the ping request, that means instance is healthy. That makes sense, right? How do we normally check? We ping only, right? That is what we do. Yeah. So this is already here. And then we have some advanced option. If you want to specify any specific port, when the load balancer uses health checks on target, this is the port which each target will receive from the load balancer. So if you have any specific port, you can mention. So it's by default, there is nothing. I am currently going to here maybe any port. Let's say I'm running some application which is very critical for my web application, which is running on page 7000. So I will tell my load balancer to go and check about this 7000 port. So whether you are getting response from this or not, right? So this is just, you can specify, but currently port 80 or the traffic port is fine. Now some of the threshold, which is like very generic. So it's very self-explanatory. So first is the healthy threshold. That means the number of consecutive health check success required before considering an unhealthy target healthy. That means if one EC2 instance goes down, so how many seconds each load balancer, how many times load balancer should try before considering it healthy. Maybe if there is, it came up one time, then again it goes down. So load balancer will go one time, it's healthy. Go second time, it's unhealthy. So if you, and there are 5. So it will go require considering consecutive 5 times, it will hit the EC2 instance. If it gets the response 5 times, only then it will say it is a healthy instance, right? Because there might be some, consecutive issues.
If it returns all the 5 times,
exactly.
Yeah, if all 5 times it is successful, then only it will be treated as healthy. Otherwise, it is not.
Correct. So there are 2 to 10 options. I will go for minimum. Let's go 10. Unhealthy, same options. Number of consecutive health checks failure required before considering target unhealthy. So you cannot make it 0 or 1. Maybe once in a while there will be a network glitch. Instance is not available. So if you make it 1, so every time, one time it won't get response, the ping response, it will consider it unhealthy. But that is not we need. Sometimes it happens, right? Once in a while there will be a network issue. If the ping request got failed, blocked by some time. So you can make it 2 to 10. Again, 2 times. Then comes the timer, the amount of time in seconds during which no response means failed check. So how many seconds it should wait for the response before considering it unhealthy? You can make it from 2 to 120 seconds, right? So it should wait for 2 seconds. If I make it 2 seconds, if it doesn't get response within 2 seconds, it will make it unhealthy after 2 attempts. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Same as interval. So what should be the interval between 2 attempts? I said 2 attempts for unhealthy, 2 attempts for healthy. So what should be the difference between two health checks? You can go with 5 to 30 seconds. Let's go for 5 seconds. Just for testing. Okay. Understood all these options?
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, tagging is normal. You can tag what is the name application. Okay, so it seems hyphen is not allowed. So test
Underscore.
Yeah, that's fine. Test target anyway. So let's go. Yep, target group you created. So currently there is no EC2 instance here, right? Currently I don't have any EC2 instances running. So, but we can create it. So how we can create it? We can go to load balancer EC2 page. Go to EC2 page. EC2. I mean, we can create targets later also. So let's create two EC2 instances in the same region. Okay. Okay, create instances. Usually the best practice is even for a POC, whatever, how many, there are 4 subnets. So create 4 EC2 instances. But this is for testing, I will go for 2. Rest everything will be same. But how will it test web application? I have to put the script, right? So that I will test the web app, right? How will I know my web application is working or not? So I think you are already familiar with this thing. So what I'm going to put in our sample page, index.html, I'm going to put curl HTTP 169.254, latest metadata, public IPv4. So in the web page, I will see the public IP of both the instances. I will see this line and I will see test web page. So 3 things will be showing in the in my index.html. Okay, so that I can verify my load balancer is hitting the EC2 instance, because this script is in EC2 instance. It is going to install the web server. It is going to create the sample test file. Okay, so come to next. Storage, that is fine. Target, name target, that's fine. Web server. That's fine. Security group, of course, you need to make sure the security group is allowed for port 80 at least on SSH if you want to connect. Both are fine. Review and launch. And launch. I have this key page in case. So, yep, instances are launching here. Yeah, give it a minute. So before, so what will happen now? So what I am creating? So till now, I have created a load balancer. I have created, let's say 3 subnets and 3 EC2 instances, right? So whenever somebody comes to my load balancer using Route 53 using DNS name, and I have created health checks also. So traffic will be routed to all these subnets within these EC2 instances in different availability zone in the different subnet. And that is what the load balancer basic job is, right? Yeah. So once we are done with this, then we will see if so currently I have only 2 instances, right? So even if I 1 request or 2 million requests, servers will be 2 only, right? But let's say I have a production website and I want to make sure that maybe sometimes there are a lot of users coming to my web application and I'm running a very, popular website. A lot of people are doing transaction, making payment, purchasing. I cannot avoid, people should not be able to access my website. In that case, I can create auto scaling. So depending upon the CPU utilization or network bandwidth, I can increase the number of instances automatically. That will be part of auto scaling. So I think instances are clear. Let's see if I can. Yep, instances are up and running. Come to target group. Let's go to previous and everything is fine. Here I have put everything. Yep, let's go to next. I got 2 instances, right? So that means now I am at to this part. I'm attaching multiple instances on the target group so the load balancers can interact with it. So come to here and I can select both of them. And
so all the available instances will be shown here, is it?
Yeah, in the same region, yes.
Okay.
And that is why tagging is important. You cannot attach all the testing database servers here. So that is why I have tagging. Name is web server. Okay, so I will attach all the web servers to my load balancer target group. Okay. Okay, so just create a target group. Sorry, I need to select them and include as a pending below. So this is what I have to do. And then I can say now they are added to here. And then I will say Yep, that is fine. And then I will say create target group.
So what is the include as pending below?
You need to register them to the target group, right? So I have selected them, include them for the pending target group. And once you add it, then they will be added to your target group. So now they are attached to the target group of my application load balancer.
Okay.
So yep, these two are instances are there. And yep, done. Target group is ready. So you see, target group is done. So let's go to load balancer here. I was here, right? In this page, I created target group while creating the load balancer. Let's refresh. I should see what is the status of healthy. Yep, that is healthy. That is not healthy. That has not come up. So that is so. Let's refresh. It will also come up. Healthy. Let's go here. So let's refresh again. I don't see it now. So this is my target group I have created. Let's click on it. Yep, still health status is unused. So that is why. So if you keep on refreshing. So at the moment, okay, so it is here. That's fine. Let's come here. Let's see. Okay. Let me refresh this way. I think I might lose the setting. Oh yeah. Anyway, so I'll give it a name. ALB internet facing IPv4. I can select all availability zone. So currently, actually, in fact, I have all the instances in 2A. So even if I select only one, it will work, right? Because all my EC2 instances are in 2A. So we can select just one only. Security group, make sure you're choosing the correct security group and drop down. Why it is coming this only? I go back to target groups. Let me delete this one. So this is an old one, right? I created test target. Let me delete this target group. Yeah, because I haven't registered the target. Oh, do I need to register it? Oh, I think I forgot to click on the register target button. So that is why it was not registered. Yeah. So I just forgot to click on the register target button. So now it should be fine. Yeah. So let's go back actually. So total target is 2. Yep, that should be fine. Let's go back here. Now I see. No, still not see. Yeah, that is fine. I already have selected, right? Register target, they are registered only. These are 2 registered targets, that's fine. 2 unused, that is fine. Yep. So let's see. Same region, right? 2A, yep, that doesn't matter. Monitoring, that's fine. That's fine. Yep, looks good. HTTP. Yep. Let me see what is the problem here. Instances. Target group name, let's say test2. Everything else is same. Everything else is same. Everything else is same. I can attach both of them. Ports routing, yeah, separate port comma. So whatever actually we do, we can do it via command line also. But I have done it multiple times actually. So now they are attached. Health status pending. I understand. Create a group. Fine. There is no issues. Not. Yep, I see now test2. So maybe something is missing in first one. We did the same thing. Now test2 is appearing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why test1 was not appearing, but anyway, So let's leave it. Let me delete the test target. Something we missed maybe or somewhere. So whatever we are doing here, we can do a command line because they keep on changing UI, but this is fine. So test2 is the target group. Under test2, I have 2 virtual machines. So somebody hits my web application using load balancer, it should route the traffic to test2. Any tagging, basic summary you see, which is security group, which VPC, which subnet, what is the port, what are the target, and create a load balancer. At least 2 security, at least 2 subnets you have to select, right? Because that is what the load balancer means. How, I mean, if you are not creating minimum 2 availability zones, it doesn't make sense. So they have the high availability requirements. Now the load balancer is in provisioning state. You see the state, and it takes around 2 to 3 minutes. And one more thing you can see, load balancer does not have an IP address. So in AWS, load balancer has a complete DNS name. You see this DNS, complete DNS, test ALB. This is the number usws2.elb.amazonaws.com. And this is a type of A record, correct? That means somebody types my URL name, it will hit using an A record to this load balancer DNS. Currently, it is in provisioning state. So let's refresh. Give it a minute, then it will work. And one more thing. So whatever we are doing here, you can do it via CLI also. So you see, create application load balancer using CLI. So if you are little programmatic, so everything is here. AWS ELB2, create load balancer, give it your name, subnet, select the subnet name, 2 subnet, 3 subnet, select your security group name. Perfect. You can create a target group, same way, AWS ELBv2, create target group, give the target group name, whatever protocol you are using. Next line, give your VPC ID. Done. You can register. The second option is to register the target, same command. So command will be same, UI will keep on changing. So probably you can, combine all these commands, create a script notepad to create a load balancer, create a target group, right? So everything you can create programmatically. So this is just an AWS CLI command. So even you don't need to write a program, just run them in the same order and it will create an HTTP load balancer for you using command line, right? Same thing you can run via command line also. Command line is preferred way, reason being UI keeps changing, but one time you have to see via console, because if you want to troubleshoot something, probably GUI is better, whether it's not responding or not, EC2 instance is healthy or not. So it's better. So now it is active. So my load balancer is active. How do I test it? Copy the URL, open, close this guy, open a new URL, type http:// enter my URL. You see? So you see this IP star test web page. I have 2 EC2 instance. Let's refresh. IP is changing, right?
Yeah.
So my load balancer is working fine. It is working round robin. It is redistributing traffic to my 2 instances exactly the way I need. Currently, I have load balancer IP. So in real life, you will type yahoo.google.com. It will redirect to this link using a record, right? Yesterday we created maybe different routing policy. So you will type yahoo.com, but eventually it will hit this URL and it will redirect traffic from these 2 servers. Perfect. So load balancer is working fine. So this is fine. This is a simple demo. Now might be the requirement is, yeah. Do you have any question?
Here, no, this URL is created by AWS, right? Let's say I have my own application URL want to be configured.
Mm-hmm.
So how do that? Where in A record can we able to modify that?
So you mean you already have a URL for web load balancer?
So this is the load balancer URL,
yeah,
right?
This is the load balancer, right?
But I want to access my application through my own application URL. So which internally has to convert that into the load balancer.
Yeah, that's
for
what
that we need to have route 53 A record.
Yes, that's what we did. That we need to create a route 53 A record, simple routing policies, and the target will be IP or
we will be adding this. Yeah, we will be adding this load balancer to there.
Right, correct. That's what we'll do.
Okay.
Yep. So load balancer is done. So this is fine. This is working fine. And even if let's say one instance goes down, so if I just stop it, maybe let's say stop it. stop it. So one instance is not working. Okay. And I can again come to load balancer and open this website. Still my website will work. People will not know, but this time only one IP is there, right?
Yeah.
So it did 2-time check, and then it will tell which one is healthy or not healthy. So if you want to troubleshoot, you can come to EC2 instance, come to target group. You see one is unused. So only one is healthy, one is not healthy. So that is why you will see, oh, this is in stop state, unhealthy, something like this. So something is not working with this EC2 instance. You can click on it. Somebody says that my web load balancer is not performing. You will come here. Oh, this is stop. Oh, any troubleshooting you can do on this web server. Maybe you can connect and see whether the web server is running or not. Something is working. So currently, this is the troubleshooting you will do. Okay. As soon as you start it, again, it will be two times. It will go to the load balancer, and if you keep on refreshing for some time, I mean, it will take few seconds to start. After it restarts, it will again start serving the traffic to load balancer. So that is what it will do. So yep, let it running once. Yep, it's running. Let's come here. Let's try to refresh. Still only one IP. And let's come to come to the target group. Still another Yep, now it is both are healthy, right? Now I will see the traffic from 2 IP. You see? Yes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
this is working perfect. Now comes the auto scaling part. Now I want to create an auto scaling. So again,
going to do that now, because this load balancer can be created one per region, right? Can we create more than one?
Yeah, we can create another one in the same region. That's not a problem.
The same region, but we cannot use the same load balancer for different regions. No, obviously, while creating itself, we are selecting, right?
Yes. So you see, here I have one test ALB. Let's change the region to North Virginia. It's not there. And that is why while creating the weighted routing policy, latency-based routing policy, we are redirecting traffic to different load balancers, right? And different load balancers are in different regions with different EC2 instance. Here, there is no load balancer. So if you are creating a weighted routing policy for North Virginia and Oregon, you will create a load balancer here. Again, EC2 instance. Maybe you want to route 30% traffic to North Virginia. So you will create a Route 53 DNS record, weighted routing policy. Put 30% traffic to this load balancer, 70% traffic to West 2 load balancer. So anybody types your website, 70% of the time it will go to load balancer Oregon, 30% of the time it will go to there. Similar you can do with latency-based routing and other routing policy we discussed.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. Any doubts?
No.
All right.
We can proceed.
Yeah. So let's go to the EC2. So now I'm going to create an auto scaling. So let me just delete the EC2 instances first. I don't need these EC2 instances. Terminate. So let's check. Yep, instances are gone now. Perfect. So now come to this EC2 screen dashboard. Now I want to create an auto scaling group. So what is auto scaling group? Auto scaling means depending upon the requirement, depending upon the CPU load and other some of the options which we have, it can create EC2 instance or it can delete an EC2 instance. Okay, that can be done. So for that, we need to create an auto scaling. So this part is done. This is done. Only this part is remaining. So auto scaling group comes with one more component that is called launch configuration. So think about, I have 3 EC2 instances, right? And there is a CPU load running. There is a huge CPU load. So it will create a new instance, correct? That is fine, right? It will create a new instance. But how will the new instance know what applications I need to install, which web page I need to, which web server I need to install? How will the new instance know? so that the new instance should be with the same configuration, with the same machine image, same load balancer. That is why we have an option called launch configuration. So in auto scaling group, first option is launch configuration. So even if you select the auto scaling group, you have to create a launch configuration first. So you come to the auto scaling group, you create an auto scaling. Here you have to create a launch template in the launch configuration. So we can come here, any, let's say auto scaling group, let's say test ASG, test auto scaling group. Cool. Launch template. I have one demo, I think previously we created, but we can create a new template. So I'm going, because when a new instance is launched, how will the servers will be created? How will the script will run? How will my web page will come? Which applications I need to run? Whether I have monitoring agent running or not? Everything should be similar, right? Whatever one instance is. So all the hundreds and thousands of servers which are getting automatically created, they should have the similar component. Otherwise, there is no use of load balancer. Somebody is getting home page, somebody is not getting the home page. So all the EC2 machines will have same configuration of the web server. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay, so let's create a template. So that template will be used to create new EC2 instance depending upon the requirement. So there are actually a lot of options depending upon the requirement. We'll go through some of the common ones, I guess. So give it the name. Yeah, my template. That's fine. Template version. If you have multiple templates, you can give it, not a problem. Auto scaling guidance, provide guidance to help me set up template. I can use it to scale. If you need some guidance, so I think they will provide some guidance. Doesn't matter. Just a way of to tell them. If you have any AMI available, do you have any launch template already? You want to use it. If I have multiple templates, I want to use that template and modify it, but I want to create the template from scratch. So come here. So first, before creating an EC2 instance, what is the first thing we choose? AMI, right?
Yes.
Operating system. So let's come to, so come to EC2. Let's give the one AMI so that we can install the components later. So if you see at the moment, this is the AMI ID. I can copy this AMI ID. In real life, you will create your AMI that will be coming here. You can copy that AMI ID, right? So
yes.
Yeah, come here. Create a launch template and paste this AMI here. There you go. So this is the AMI, right? Yeah. Select that AMI. Perfect. Now, what is the instance type? Because you have to pay based on the instance type, right? It's a $0.12 per hour, $0.2 per hour, $0.051 per hour. So whatever instance size, what is the capacity, memory, RAM you need, depending upon that, you have to pay. I am going for testing. I'll go T2 micro. How come it is saying T2 micro? I might not have selected the correct AMI. No. Because Linux 2114, this is the AMI I need. Test type. T2 micro is not. Oh, I think in the top it's no. Free tier not available. Okay. Why free tier is not available? Linux 2 AMI. Free tier eligible. Now, this is the same AMI. 64-bit x86. Okay. Let's come here. Come to AMI. Drop down. Search for AMI. And I got the first array. Why it is weird? Copy. Okay, and then select. Let's see if that works. But yeah, now I see. Because that AMI is supported for free tier only. So you need to make sure you're selecting the correct AMI. Otherwise, you have to pay extra. So now I can go with T2 micro. Anyway, this is just for testing. You want to log in? Yeah, sometimes I might need to log in, right? If you have a key pair, select your key pair. I think I have my key pair. Let me see if I have my key pair. Yep, I have that key pair. Cool. Which VPC? Security group. EC2 Classic, it's the old one. As I said, no, a single flat network that you share with other customers. Nobody's going to use it. Less security, and that is what is classic mode. Virtual private cloud is the one. Which security group? Again, depending upon the request, I should have port 80 and SSH and 443 HTTPS traffic. I'll select the security group. Whatever the volume you are using, currently I think I'm free tier, so I'm eligible for only 8 GB, right? Because I'm using free tier. Free tier eligible customer can get up to 30 GB. I can add another volume up to 30 GB only because I'm using free tier. But if you are not using free tier, you can add multiple volumes, correct? So just click on add volume, start adding the volume depending upon the volume type, whatever the size you need, correct? I don't need it because I'm doing it for testing. So I just need 8 GB, that's fine, group volume. Okay. Resource tag, if you want to have any tagging, any specific network interface you want to have, I don't need. Do you want to use spot instances? But the problem with the spot instances, you know, they can go anytime. So if you want, you can choose it. If you want to access S3 bucket databases from EC2 instance, you need to create an IAM role and assign the IAM role to them, right? So here, because you cannot make sure the load balancer created auto scaling created EC2 instance. Later you are saying, well, create an copy. He's not able to copy the data from S3 bucket because you have to give the role and everything in the launch configuration only, so that later you don't have to worry. That is why it's a complete automated process. So you can give a role here. Maybe you want to copy data from S3, so you can assign S3 role for any databases. So you create a role and get a role here. Create a role if you want from here. Cool. Currently, I think shutdown behavior, they are turned off, not applicable for EC2 auto scaling. They are not applicable. Termination protection, if you want the same, we already know nobody will be able to terminate on the console, correct? Detailed cloud watch. Do you have any GPU, the graphic processing? I don't have anything. Do you want to add any elastic interface? I don't have any. So whole bunch of options here. EBS optimization, capacity reservation, dedicated shared tenancy. So what is the RAM disk kernel, RAM disk ID? Do you have any specific RAM disk ID? Depending upon the requirement, you can check what is the hardware. Do you have any specific kernel version for your Linux, Ubuntu, Red Hat? You can choose that. So a lot of option is there. And here comes the main part. What are the services, what load balancer it should create? I already have my script ready. I will copy paste it. Cool. The same script which we use, right? So,
yes.
No, that's fine. So let me add. I think I can do /n. Let's see, that's fine. So, and that is ready. Let's create a launch template. So template is created successfully. Let's go back to EC2 console, refresh. I see my test template here. Perfect. Select it. So I've selected my template. My template with this security group, instance type is T2 micro, no spot instance. Perfect. Go to next. Now there are two purchasing options. Again, with the spot instance on demand. So the default option is the template determines the purchase option on demand or spot instances. So either you have chosen spot instances or on demand. But let's say you want to combine some spot instances, some on demand instances. Maybe on weekends, you just want to make sure, some spot instances I can use. So if you choose this option, you can define 70% on demand instances, 30% spot instances. So if you have 10 EC2 instances, 7 will be on demand, 3 will be spot instances, right? That you can do. This is also a new feature. Earlier, everything was on demand only. But since there are a lot of people trying to use spot instances, AWS trying to give a spot offer to most of their EC2 services. So we don't have any spot instances and we are doing it for 3 minutes. So you can go for adhere to launch template. So here we have only on demand. We don't have any spot instances created. Cool. Now, select the same subnet and EC2. So this is the default VPC I'm using. And which subnet? What is the ideal situation? Make sure you select all the subnet so that instances can be created in different availability zone, different subnets, right? All are different subnets, 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. Perfect.
Yeah.
Then come to next. Same, it is a load balancer attached. Do I have existing load balancer? So in this auto scaling group, are you going to create a load balancer currently, or I have an existing load balancer, or you want to attach a new load balancer, or no load? I have an existing load balancer, right? I just created, correct? So I am going to attach this auto scaling group to an existing load balancer. Perfect. Come down, choose from your load balancers target group, classic load balancer. No, I have the test to HTTP load balancer. You see, it is selecting in the dropdown, selected. So now I am attaching this auto scaling policy to my auto scaling group to my currently running load balancer. By default, already EC2 has an health check, right? It will go and ping EC2 instance. In auto scaling group, you can create an ALB health check also. So what this will do, it will do the same thing. It will go and do the health check for the EC2 instances. So EC2 was by default. You can create an ALB health check also. So that ALB also will do the same thing. Though we already have an ALB health check associated in auto scaling group, we will select ALB so that ALB can perform the health check, which we already have defined. Correct? We already have defined the health check while creating the load balancer, right? 2 times failure, 2 times healthy. The amount of time until the auto scaling perform the first health check on new instances. Now this is important. So what happens? So if you, let's say you put here maybe 5 seconds. So this is the grace period. Now what is grace period? So if you put health check 5 minutes only, that means the amount of time load balancer will wait before doing the health check. It will wait only 5 seconds, correct? Once a new instance is created, health check grace period is the amount of time the ALB will wait before doing the health check. So if you have put only 5 seconds and I have 7 lines of script to run. So do you think within 5 seconds an instance will be up and running? No, right?
No.
So what this health check will do, it will mark it unhealthy, correct?
Yes.
And again, auto scaling will create a new instance. And the same instance, again 5 seconds, it will be unhealthy. So it will keep creating instance, but instance will be unhealthy. So I have seen this problem in once in a while, somebody did that. So this he made it very low and a lot of bootstrapping he was doing. So instances were creating, but getting unhealthy, getting unhealthy. So make sure you're giving it sufficient grace period. For example, 20 seconds is fine, right? 20 seconds is fine. So, yeah.
It depends on our application.
Yeah, currently we are just doing 3 lines of code, right? This only. So this won't take much time, right? If you have, let's say, in general, yeah. If you have a satellite server, it is going to get the yum repository, update the yum repository, create a zip file, upload it, extract it, a lot of stuff you are doing. So at least 2 minutes, 3 minutes you can give. Okay. Yeah, this is additional setting, monitoring CloudWatch, whatever. I don't need it. I need to pay extra and delete it.
And here one more thing, the load balancer, we selected the test 2, right?
Correct.
If I have multiple load balancers, I can select those things also in that.
Yeah, you can select. But at the moment, one auto scaling you will attach with one load balancer only, right? So I'm creating auto scaling. I can attach to only one load balancer.
Okay. Why? Because we are selecting subnets also, right?
Right. Because so I'm creating
it is related to VPC.
Right.
All
right.
this.
That is. So we are creating this diagram. So one auto scaling group, one load balancer only.
So load balancer will be created for the VPC inside VPC. Yeah. And for that we will be selecting subnets. Load our auto scaling also should be
within the same region and supporting attaching to ALB. Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Okay. And some next. Now, what should be the desired capacity? Minimum capacity, maximum capacity. Let's say desired capacity is 2. I need 2 running all the time. Minimum 1 if nobody is accessing website. Maximum 4. So if there are huge users, I can go with 4 because remember you have to pay for it, right? So depending upon this, you have the most of the times it will be 2 minimum. Depending upon my criteria, it will be 1 and maximum it can go up to 4 EC2 instances, right? This is clear, right? And now comes the scaling policy. So how it will go 1, how it will create 4. Desired is 2, that's fine. But when it will create 1, when it will create additional, depending upon the target tracking scaling policy. And this is what sometimes they keep on changing the UI. They have completely changed the UI. But anyways, so let's click on target tracking policy. So how will auto scaling create new instances? Depending upon the policy I choose. What are the options I can choose? Average CPU utilization, network in, network out, or application load balancer request count per target. So let's say you want to make sure that only certain requests should go to per target. You can have. So I can choose this and I can give the target group, and I can give the target value. 50 target per instance, and add an extra instance, correct? Most general, most probably people will go for CPU utilization. What is the target value? 50. You can make it 40, 100. So essentially, it might be something like 80 something. So if it's more than 80%, create a new EC2 instance. Got it?
Okay.
And this is the average CPU utilization. So if all three instances, traffic will be routed to round robin. If all three instances have the average CPU utilization more than 80% or 40%, it will create a new instance. Again, the instance need these many seconds to warm up before including in metric. So make sure you give it the sufficient time, not less, something like 20 seconds. For my case, 20 seconds will be fine. 20 seconds, right? So it will wait for 20 seconds before including its metrics to the health check, right? Clear this one?
Yeah. So here, when we say target value 40% or some any percent, that should be applicable on all the desired instance. Let's say if I select 2.
Yes, it will be for all the instances, correct? Because load balancer sends the traffic equally. We see that where we are refreshing and the IP was changing to load balancer, correct? So by default, load balancer is distributing traffic in a round robin fashion. If you want to use different load balancer, then comes the routing policies of Route 53. But load balancer, that is the name, load balancer. So it will route the traffic to equally. There are other things also like session affinity. So let's say some users log into your application and he was filling some form in one of the servers and somehow he disconnected. He has to go back and he came after 1 hour. The session is gone. But again, if he opens the same URL, he will be redirected to the same server, even if that load balancer has thousands of servers. That is called session affinity. So just remember that. So that the same session will be carried out by the load balancer for the end user for the same URL. So that the same URL will be hitting to the same server. Just remember, this time this question came into exam. How can I make sure the users get to the same server via load balancer using session affinity? Okay, how we can create it, how we can, this is a little advanced that we can do, but there is one concept called session affinity. We can see that later, but just to let you know, there is an option. Again, instant scale in protection, that is an option. What does it? It protects from scale in is enabled. Newly launched instances will be protected from scale in by default. What is scale in? So there are two things: scale out, scale in. Getting 2 to 4 is scale out. Getting instances number 2 to 1 is scale in. Got it? If I'm creating 2 to 4, I'm scaling out. If I'm creating 2 from 2, I'm making one instance, it is scaling in. So what this says, if you enable this, the new instances will be protected by scale in. It means the new instances will not be evaluated for this CPU utilization because they are newly created. So of course the CPU utilization will be less than that, right? So it doesn't mean you go and terminate it. So that is what it says. Okay, but I didn't note it because that's an option. So let's go. Do you want to create any notification? SNS topic. If you want to send somebody, maybe you can create a topic and lot of users, lot of admins and DevOps guys can subscribe to that notification. So anytime scaling happening, scale out is happening, you will be notified once you subscribe to the topic, correct? So you can add a notification, create a topic, somebody will subscribe to the topic. Done. Next, any tagging? I don't need it. Choose, just select the option. Okay, looks fine, looks fine, looks fine, looks fine, looks good, looks good. Create auto scaling group. Remember, we have removed all the EC2 instances, right?
Yes.
Before creating auto scaling group, we deleted all the EC2 instances. Let's see. You see, but again, the instance is getting created. How it is getting created? Auto scaling. So by default, it will create 2. Depending upon the load on the servers, it can go to 4. If there is no load, it should make it 1, something like this. This is what our policy. You see, by default, 2 are getting created.
Yeah, since we have given desired 2.
Desired is 2. So 2 will be running all the time. Okay, this is the desired instance. And if you want, let's connect to one instance and see if we can, because currently there is nothing is running, right?
Yeah.
So let's see if I can put some load. There are some options available. Okay, actually. So I'm connected to EC2 instance. Okay, so to put a load, there is one. I think somewhere I have document to put a load. Yeah. So because I need to simulate the auto scaling, so that I can show you that from 2 I can create 4 instances, right? So currently it will be 2 only. So how do I put a load on CPU so that extra instances can be created? So that is what I'm trying to show. So there is one the utility available. I think you must have heard about the stress utility, right? So this is an option I can send you the command. There is an stress utility so that I can simulate a load on CPU because there is no load running, right? So I can just simulate a load. Let's see if I can. And that is why I have mentioned less. So these 2 commands you need to run. If it is done, it will say. So let's see if I can put a load stress CPU. Let's see this command. So this is the command stress -- CPU. This is just a Linux command. So it is stressing the CPU. So currently it's a very small machine. So by default CPU load should go up. So which machine I connected to? I think this one I connected, right? What is that? 228. 228. This machine I connected, right? Let's go to monitoring. So this is the default monitoring, right? Let's see. You will see the CPU utilization here. You will see the CPU utilization little bit bumping. Currently there is no data because just been created. Let's open this. Let's go to last 10 seconds. Because we are not enabled the detail monitoring, so it won't show. Because we have not enabled detail monitoring, right? So let's see if any stress is working here. Or there is one more command stress -C4. I think this will put it. Keep on refreshing. It will wait for the time you have mentioned before creating. I think we have mentioned 20 seconds, right? So 20 seconds it will wait.
Yes.
Yeah, so it will wait for 20 seconds. It is stressing the CPU. So, and the logs I cannot see because the minimum logs I can see default is 5 minutes. That is why I can't see the logs. Here we can see something which is missing here. Yep, something I see 69%, right? Now I see something. Right?
Yes.
So I think, yeah, for 20 seconds, if it is on that part, I should see one more instance getting created. Now I see one dot here, so it seems to be working. Okay, let's see.
For both the instances,
Oh, that average I said, right? So I think it will work.
CPU is 40%.
Yes, average I have said. Average CPU utilization.
Okay.
So it should be fine.
I thought for every desired instance, let's say we have selected 2, right? If both the instances are crossing 40% CPU utilization, then only it will create. That's what I thought. But it is a average of both the
Average.
instances.
Correct. So Create it. Well, I don't know whether it's able to put a load or not, because I see the load. Anyway, so let's say if I delete this instance, what do you think? What will happen? If I delete this instance,
Desired always should be 2, right? I think it should create one more.
right. Let's see. It should be. It is shutting down. So auto scaling will check. Well, currently there is only one running. It will wait for a moment for 20 seconds before making a decision. After the instance is terminated, it will check the desired count, and you see one more is pending now. Which one I can look at, man?
Where is the running one?
Okay. It will, yeah, somehow something is weird happening in my account. No, running is here.
Okay.
You see, one is running, one is pending. So one is getting created. So I mean, it works. That is what the whole idea is. So it's better if once you try it yourself, you will feel all the options, and you might feel a lot of challenges. So
yeah,
this is something which you can do. I pinned all the screen. Okay, cool. So I have sent you. Yep, I have sent you both the URLs. So you see, and one more thing, once you create it, you need to be very careful. Even if you delete all the instances from here, again and again, it will create instances. So make sure you delete auto scaling group, you delete the load balancer, right? Especially auto scaling group. If you don't delete the auto scaling group and you think instances are terminated and you go home, you shut down your laptop, again and again, it will create EC2 instances.
Okay.
Yeah? You see, I have terminated all the instances. Immediately, it will create 2 more. That is what auto scaling is supposed to do, right? So you don't need to just delete from here and think it's done. Because a lot of people in previous have done that, and they will come next day, oh, instance is running for 24 hours. I mean, you get 720 free, but not always. Like I try very carefully, but even though sometimes I get charged. What is my charge? I'm billing you. Little bit is fine. I mean, not that much. So you already have the notification set up for greater than 0, so you should get it. So I get something like around 1,000 rupees per month or something. So 600, 700, mostly from EC2 and other stuff. Nothing else. Most of the time it is EC2 only. Because I create a lot of instances. Sometimes cluster I need to create. So that is why. And you see, getting created again. It will again getting created. Yeah. Unless you come to the auto scaling group. So it will be a little, make sure you delete it. Otherwise, it will be challenging. You come to the auto scaling group and you select the auto scaling group and you delete it. Only then your instance test demo will be added. Okay, so this is getting deleted. Now I will see my instances are also getting deleted. What do we see to dashboard? So yeah, currently only 2 are running since we already have deleted. So if we delete this now it should be fine. Now it won't be created again.
Okay.
Yeah. So now it won't be created. So once these are done, because auto scaling group is created now, I can, yep, everything is done. And also make sure you delete the load balancer also. Because if you don't delete the load balancer, I think that is also chargeable. So once you are done testing, make sure you delete the load balancer also. Select the load balancer action and delete. Cool. Configuration, it is not chargeable because it's just a template. Launch configuration, you can keep it. But yeah, I think currently I deleted it. Do you have any auto scaling group? So cleanup is very important sometimes because people forget and unnecessary you have to pay. So make sure you give proper time to clean up. Yep, it's done.
Yeah,
And if
I uploaded some files to S3 and I forgot. That's why the
yes, right. And if you do as CLI, there is delete your load balancers. All the commands are there. One command, everything will be done. So yeah, a lot of things you can try with CLI also, and everything you can do via console also.
yeah. Now I can feel that VPC also is very important. Everywhere we have to create VPC
Yes.
subnets, and inside that only we can create this.
Right, and that is
load
why
balancer.
VPC and especially VPC and security groups are very important, because security groups are the specific rules and firewall rules. Because currently we have 0.0. In real life, it will be very specific port 80, port 443, port 3319. From the source, 10.0.0/24. So these things you need to make sure are in place. So yes, these are the things. Now come to Elastic IP, which I was not able to delete earlier. Now I should select and release. Now I see the release option and release it. It's gone. Now Elastic IP is gone. So yeah, so cleanup is very important. But yeah, that happens. So I think any doubt in today's session?
No, not doubt. Just confirmation once again.